Their secret is out. Mothers who get through the day with a little help from a bottle. And Elizabeth, I was so surprised what you're telling me, not just how personal these stories are, but how these women put themselves, sometimes even their kids, at risk.
Chris, it took courage for these women who opened their homes and their private lives to us, letting us in on the most intimate and embarrassing moments, even showing up at our interview under the influence and struggling through the treatment that gives them hope, but many times doesn't work.
Okay, so we will go by the park.
It's just 9:30 in the morning, but for Tina, a mother of two from Washington, D.C., this used to be happy hour.
A lot of the time I would have, wine in my coffee mug.
Tina's mornings didn't always start out this way. Just 2 years ago, she was juggling a demanding political career with life at home with her husband and young children.
It was kind of 24/7 sometimes, always feeling pressure. It was extremely intense. Mwah.
So intense, she says, that she decided to take a break in early 2009 to become a stay-at-home mom.
Seatbelt on?
The transition was tougher than she ever imagined.
We're not going to play with this in the car, okay?
You'd see the other moms going off to work in their business suits, and you weren't going to that environment anymore. What effect did that have on you?
At first, I think I was like, oh, lucky me, I didn't realize how much your self-esteem and your self-worth comes from your job. I mean, nobody pats you on the back and says, wow, that laundry looks great.
For Tina and many other women across the country, the everyday stress and worries, the simple rituals of modern-day motherhood, mask a painful and dangerous secret: the disease of alcoholism.
It would be nice if I could just have a glass of wine or two, but it's never just one or two.
As a stay-at-home drinking mom, Tina's alcohol use seemed manageable at first, but soon a few glasses of wine at night became a bottle or more. Then drinking spilled into other parts of the day.
This is one of the parks. We would be going to the park more, and we'd be outside more, and different people would bring different things, and whether it was water or Diet Coke or wine or a beer or...
But there were other mothers who were drinking too. It wasn't just you.
Right.
Tina says that when the school let out, the moms in her neighborhood let loose.
We treated it kind of as a social mommy hour. Kids running around screaming takes the edge off. Okay, that's high enough.
But Tina took things one step further. Pinot at the park turned into Merlot in the morning.
It happens so quickly that you don't see it coming. You just wake up one morning and you're like, oh my God, why do I have this strong urge to have a glass of wine? It's 9:30 in the morning. Are you kidding me?
Would you actually have a glass of wine in a wine glass, or would you?
Oh no, coffee mugs.
Put it in a coffee mug.
Heavens, no. I had to look like coffee.
And there were other secrets: wine under the bathroom sink and hidden in the shoe closet. Overwhelmingly, the women we spoke to preferred wine to liquor as their drink of choice.
I didn't want, all the wine bottles in the recycling bin, so there's a trash can here. I would, sometimes come dump them out. That one, there are a couple right around here.
The monotony of her days at home and a crumbling marriage only pushed her closer to the bottle and down a shameful path of hidden drinking.
You want to hide it. You don't want anyone to understand or to know that, you're drinking as much as you are.
If you were starting to drink in the mornings, you must have had a buzz going pretty much the entire day then, right?
Yeah, just kind of a mellow buzz. Not obviously drunk by any stretch of the imagination.
But you would drive your daughter home after you'd been drinking?
Yeah.
Do you think you put her in danger?
Kind of an obvious answer, isn't it?
How did that happen? How does that line get pushed back and back and back?
Boredom, I think, to some extent. You would drink in the afternoon and drink through the night, go to sleep and wake up in the morning and feel cruddy, and then think, well, I feel better when I drink. So, it just becomes this vicious cycle.
That same treacherous cycle is something best-selling poet and author Mary Karr knows all too well. In her new memoir, Lit, Karr, now 20 years sober, chronicles her gut-wrenching descent into alcoholism.
I was depressive. It's a depressant drug.
So you were drinking heavily to help your depression, which ironically was making your depression worse.
Exactly, which is how it works. You know, it's insidious because initially, alcohol works for an alcoholic.
Carr says her addiction worked so well for a decade because, like Tina, she hid it from her husband, her family, and her friends.
You don't go to the same liquor store and you say you're giving a party every week and yourself the only invitee, you know.
She says the denial involved with her addiction was so powerful she lied to herself on a daily basis.
I couldn't sleep through the night without a tumbler of watered down whiskey by my bedside. And when I would get up in the morning, I would pick that up, get my kid on my hip, go down the stairs. I would think, oh, it's a shame to pour it out. And I would drink probably 2 or 3 ounces at least of alcohol.
In the morning?
In the morning. But I told
Holding your baby?
Holding my baby. But I told myself I wasn't a morning drinker because I never poured it in the morning.
Even a teaching job at Harvard and a beautiful baby boy weren't enough. The highlight of her day was always drinking alone on her back porch.
Every night I would go to bed and I would tell myself, I'm going to get up in the morning, run 5 miles, write a book, and paint the house. You know, then make a lovely, nutritious dinner for my family. Every
Wonder
morning.
Woman.
Exactly. And yeah, but you know, 2 o'clock in the morning on the back porch, that's what I told myself. And I would wake up every morning and think, maybe not today.
One particularly dark Christmas morning, Carr awoke before her family, intending to bake pies. She chose instead to take a drive and drink a 6-pack of beer alone.
The minute you start lying to your husband or your family or your children or whoever, your friends, you get a little more lonely and you get a little more cut off.
Carr says that isolation stems from the humiliation many women feel, that unlike their male counterparts, women are often tormented with guilt, thinking they have failed as mothers. Exactly like Tina, the DC career mom whose shame only exacerbated her drinking problem. 2 of her best friends, Rhonda and Amy, began noticing the change last year.
And then there was a time at a friend's birthday party where she'd been drinking most of the day. Everyone at the party noticed that there was a problem. People pulling me aside, saying you have to do something.
And so they did. With the help of a recovery expert, 6 of Tina's friends staged an intervention in January.
We were terrified. I mean, we were just absolutely terrified.
We all took turns telling stories to Tina of things that she, on a number of occasions, didn't even remember.
She didn't even remember?
Things that had happened when she
blacked out.
was drunk.
The friends say it was the toughest thing they have ever had to do, but they knew they didn't have a choice.
I knew that I needed to go, but I just kept putting it off, you know, and I'm very grateful to them. Okay, I'm on the plane.
Tina's friends had already packed her bags, and just an hour after the intervention, she was on an airplane to Florida, preparing for 30 days of rehab and a new life.
I'm a little apprehensive and nervous.
But that new life of sobriety may be out of Tina's reach.
I always take care of everybody else but myself. It's time for me.